you're a man and you want a girl like Monet, like that's not gonna happen with providing love. So if you see a clip that you don't like, do not watch it and move on with your day. Slay, like that's just a little life hack. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally addressing the controversy. Just kidding. But yeah, today I'm gonna talk about the Jalen Noble. Okay, today I'm gonna talk about the Jalen Noble little provider comment, and then I'm gonna talk about that, then I'm gonna segue into social media and our society. Then I'm going to give you guys tips. I'm gonna give 5 types of people to not take advice from. And yeah, first I'm gonna play the clip so that we all can hear, and then I'm gonna say what my thought is on that.
That's how I pick up what is being put down out there. It's like, you know, men are expected now to, you know, from what the sprinkle movement is, it's like men are expected to pay all the bills. Men are expected to pay for all the dates. Men are expected to pay for your nails, hair, all these things. In today's economy,
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so the thought is, it's like, why is that the norm? Why is that the expectation? What does a provider mean? Like, in my opinion, a provider doesn't mean someone who's going to pay financially for everything. That's not a provider to me. I think, you know, when someone becomes the mother of your kids or someone's raising, then there's a partnership that, you know, is communicated and talked about and understood. And if the partnership agrees on, hey, you're going to be the stay-at-home parent.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and chase this bag. That then
That's
is where
different.
financial, I think, moves under that umbrella of providership or being a provider. But not once do I think being a provider means when I start dating you. But it's like this sprinkle is all about the dating stage too. It's like that doesn't make sense to me. So
Okay, honestly, I know everybody that got mad at the controversy didn't even watch that far, but sorry, I keep looking over there because the cat is doing crazy stuff. Basically, he said, you know, in my opinion, this means, let me stop you there. I feel like this generation, I don't know if it's this generation, but I think it is very popular for people to try to like redefine things. So like, I can't redefine motherhood. I can't redefine motherhood as like, I raise plants, why am I not a mother? You know what I mean? Like, not all men have to be providers. It's a free country, literally do what you want, but the definition for provider, let me look that up very, very quickly. A person or thing that provides something, a breadwinner. Records show, and I think reality shows, that being a provider is always going to be linked to financial. So that's just one word. Like, you do not have to be a provider. Just like I don't have to be a mother, but I cannot then in turn change the definition of motherhood to me watering plants. Like, I could just say I'm not a mother, I'm so many other things, so I'm living a good life, I'm happy. But yeah, I just feel like it's okay to keep a word's definition even if you don't measure up. And I feel like people have like big issues with that because everybody really wants to be included. So like, whatever word it is, if it's trending, they're like, no, that includes me too, because by way of and logistically and mathematically, like, it's okay. Like, you're not that, life goes on, the world is still spinning, like, it's okay. So that's one about that whole definition thing. Yeah, I feel like the internet got kind of stir crazy for no reason. It shows the polarization, how polarized social media makes people. It shows how people like genuinely think that they know somebody's character after like a 1-minute clip, because like if you're really doing your digging on Jalen and Monet's relationship, like if I were a betting man, I would bet that he is providing financially. I'm sorry, like he just flew her out to where, Florida, I don't know, like he's always buying her flowers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So like, I feel like people saw that and they were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's not providing. But like, logistically, like, you don't know what he is or isn't doing, so it's like generally it's not that serious. The more social media you consume, the more you dehumanize people, and I feel like the only way that is exploited sexually, like everybody knows, oh, if you like consume this, then you dehumanize this group sexually, but also like dehumanize them morally, because you let one comment be like, oh, you're evil, you're wrong, blah blah blah, end quote. First of all, it's a very prideful thing to do because you don't know the person, so it's crazy for you to tell somebody how to live their life. So it's a lot, and it makes you not have to look inward ever, because this person's wrong and this person's getting canceled and I can't believe and the world's going crazy, so I don't need to work on anything. Like, I just feel like there are just no benefits to being that judgmental that fast. Another thing about the Jalen comment, which I will say, I always feel like it's odd when people kind of give you advice like of a lifestyle that they're not living. So like, let's say I have a car, right? And I drive places. So I would find it weird if I was just like, yeah, and you know, like, why don't you just walk from this place? Like, you can walk, you can ride a bike, blah, blah, blah. So I don't really understand why people who are living a certain way try to talk about a way that they're not living and try to give advice in that. I don't know. I don't think Jalen is the man to speak for men that are not providing financially. So I don't know why he tried to, but you know, in general, like, you should not be taking advice from social media that debunks reality. So if your reality is one way and then you hear someone on social media say something, like, you shouldn't just be like, oh my goodness, I need to do what they do. No, like, listen to reality and let reality take hold, you know what I mean? So logistically, here's logistics. If in life, there are things, but no, seriously, logistically, if in a heterosexual relationship, if you're a man and you want a girl like Monet, like, that's not gonna happen with providing love. That's not gonna happen with just providing love and care. That is gonna need some finances as well. So I do believe that it's unfair for him to sit in his position and be like, yeah, you could just do this easy, but you're like, if you're not where he's at, you're not gonna get Monet. So don't believe him, you know what I mean? Reality checks, like, just stay where you're at. Like, these social media influencers are like living a like maybe 5%, maybe 1% lifestyle. So like, genuinely take what they say with a grain of salt, not even because they're trying to say something malicious. Some of them are, but generally some of them just do not, like, they're just not living in your reality. So they can't give you advice. Like, girl, they're not living paycheck to paycheck, they're living phenomenally. So like, they can't give you good advice, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's always going to be a plus for lying and being more marketable and like dimming your genuine opinion so that you are more politically correct. So anybody who is like being consumed and being viewed, there's always going to be a benefit to lying. So those people, like, I'm sorry, you don't need to listen to them. Like, so if they're saying something and you're like, that doesn't really make sense, I'll take that with a grain of salt and just move on. I'm about to list the 5 people not to listen to, but I'm not saying like if they say anything, like, run the other way, like, always put a tape over their mouth. In general, I do believe you can learn from everyone, whether that's learning from their mistakes or learning from whatever, but just like if these people tell you to go left, just wait before you go left. Maybe you need to take a step, then go left, take a step back, then go left. So the number 1 type is someone who has not achieved what you want. And I mean this in like niche senses. So if you want to be a singer, you shouldn't take all your advice from a doctor. Obviously, like, there are some even ones, like, work hard, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to be a singer, your journey to be a singer versus a doctor's journey, theirs is very like, do this, do this, do this. Versus a singer, it's going to be very different, and your markers for success are going to be very different. Like, if you want to be more creative and this person is more books, then maybe you don't really need to be talking to them, taking their advice as strongly as other people. Number 2 is someone who's had no struggles. I feel like everybody already kind of knows this, but like, not only someone who's had no struggles, but also someone who's far removed from their struggles. It's like, no offense, but if their struggle was like, they were poor at 5 years old, but then they made it at 17, like, you know, maybe you should stay focused, because in their advice, they're either lying or they're very unhelpful. Obviously, not everybody is trying to play you or manipulate you, blah, 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 but some people genuinely just like cannot help you and they don't know that. And like, I don't think everyone has enough self-control to just not speak, like, not talk, not have an opinion. Like, everybody really feels like, oh, like, I have to talk or blah, blah, you know what I mean? So just beware. The third person, this is a juicy one. The third person is someone who seems unhappy. The red pill community. Not even just the red pill community, but like the dating coaches that are telling you and they're so unhappy and they go to bed next to nobody at night and like they're always arguing on podcasts and kicking girls off. Those are the worst people to take advice from because they're miserable and like they literally can't even hide that misery on camera. On camera is like a part of your day where you really should be acting. So they should be acting like, oh, I got money, I'm living good, but they literally can't even hide that misery on camera. They are miserable. So people, seriously, like, people who are unhappy, do not take advice from them. They're about to wreck your life, like, seriously, because like that bitterness, they want it to get onto you, and like, I feel like they just have a million revenge fantasies and they just want everyone to suffer with them. So like, seriously, like, if someone looks miserable, like they're arguing so much, they just get so mad like all the time, they can't smile, they can't laugh. Like, do not take advice from that person no matter how much money they have. They're angry. The fourth one I already talked about a little bit. It's somebody who gives you advice about things that they don't do. So if I was a meat eater and I was giving you advice on how to be vegetarian, you should not take my advice, obviously. Like, I feel like that's kind of where Jalen was at. Like, I'm allegedly, okay, me being nosy, I'm alleging that he is financially providing in a lot of ways, but he's talking about, oh, as a man, you don't have to be a provider, which you don't, but like, don't expect his lifestyle without providing. I'm sorry, like, that's true. Yeah, the last one is someone who's politically correct. I feel like that's very popular in our generation. Like, people, never want to be canceled and blah, 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 and want to get everything right. If they're politically correct, like, that's the equivalent of you talking to water. There's gonna be absolutely no substance because like, they don't want to offend anyone and they don't want to get caught up in anything. And so they're just gonna genuinely say nothing, because that's the only way that you can like never get canceled and be politically correct, is like if you talk about the sky and blah, 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 and like so many just words that mean nothing, that's what you're gonna get. That is all for now. But overall, my thoughts are men don't have to provide. It's a free country, but if you're not providing financially, I'm sorry, you're not a provider, which is fine. Like, that's my biggest disagreement. Like, if you're not providing financially, which you do not have to do, you're not a provider, end quote, kiss, kiss, like, and the world keeps spinning. Like, okay, we move on. But yeah, in general, I think he was right, but I just think he was speaking out of a place that he's not operating from. So I think that was a little weird. And yeah, in general, I feel like I don't understand why people were that mad, because I feel like people should have enough autonomy and should know enough to know who to listen to and know who not to listen to, and know, like, generally, if you see someone and they're living a way you're like, oh, I would never want to live that way, I don't understand getting mad and being like, you have to change your mind. No, you need to have enough common sense to not listen to them and then move on with your life. Like, that's my thing in general. Like, you have control over social media. So if you see a clip that you don't like, do not watch it and move on with your day. Slay, like, that's just a little life hack. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the situation, and real.